That is, we elevate our relationship in a technological era. And this kind of relationship are very important for us. We as the ICT Commission's work is to be a catalyzer. We catalyze, we create an opportunity for innovators to be able to create such a kind of applications. So this is a journey. It's going to take some years, maybe 2 years or more. We are not going to work alone as ICT Commission. ICT Commission is synergized. It works with other people. We are the one that we are creating a very conducive environment to work with startups. So what we are signing today will create an opportunity for startups to work together with us to be able to make Kiswahili truly a continental language as it's supposed to be. I can see that the MOUs, they are already here. Maybe I can call Franco to say something with regard to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mankunde. I think this is a great opportunity for us to further collaborate with Tanzania as a country, with the institutions of Tanzania, as we already started. As I said, it's more than 2 years that we are collaborating with the local institutions. This is an opportunity also to create a foundation, as you correctly said, to foster then pursue other opportunities for different sectors. So we are very excited for this signature of this MOU, and now after this signature, the journey will start. We will do an action plan, and we will act accordingly with this plan. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Franco, especially for that point that we are going to have an action plan, and that action plan will involve many institutions that will be interested to be part of this project. So this project is inclusive. We expect our startups to be part of it, and then we'll grow together. Like the way I've said before, the area of specialized model is the applications are limitless. You can create pretty much many kind of applications that will enable you to get markets not only in Tanzania, but to the continent and globally. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Nkundu. Now, may I ask Dada Salakana to come in front and they give them each a contract to sign. And after signing, you'll exchange. Kwa hiyo amekwambia unaweza kuwapisha. Wewe unasikia usema. Kwa nyuma acha wakabadilishana ndio. After the first round of signature, you exchange the document while seated, and I will ask you when to stand up and exchange the signed documents. The photographers get ready for the action of exchanging of documents while they're standing. Okay. If ready, can you, oh, pardon. I think it's all done. If you may stand up and move a little bit forward. Yes, now you can exchange the document with a smiling face, a smile of expectation. Jason, cheka kidogo. Okay, that's done. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for them, please. Okay, now let's begin our afternoon session with a session that we left behind when we were going for lunch. I hope Dr. George Mulamula is in our presence. You had unfinished business before lunch. You've got an hour, but I'm privileged to give you 40 minutes. You can add 5 minutes so we can have the session as quickly as possible. We have 4 more before we proceed and call it a day. Karibu sana, Dr. Mulamula, for moderating the session. Please.
Thank you, MC. As you say, my other brother from another mother. Today, this session is going to discuss the issues of digital twins and smart cities. Kwanza sijasema, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, good. You're alive. Okay. Can I have Valerie up here, please? Can I have Alexi up here? And can I have Nelly, please, up here? Is Nelly here? Huh. You are Nelly. Fantastic. So now, I think you should sit here. Alexis, sit on that side. I need to feel like a king between 2 queens. And then you can sit over there. Thomas, are you here? Is Thomas here? I wanted to tell him that we're now gender balanced here. You know, he said the previous session was not gender balanced. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the only, Alexi, so the only person we haven't heard from is you. So please introduce yourself, where you're from, and just for 1 minute.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Nelly Babere, and I work with Arthur University, and at the moment I'm a senior lecturer there, and I'm working around the area of urban planning and management, gender and inclusion. And today, in this panel, I'm going to contribute a little bit about how universities have contributed into generating data which helps us to move into smart cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Because we've been given a little time, we'll go straight into the presentations. I think all of you know Valerie and all of you know Alexi. So who wants to go first? Alexi?
No, proper Mike and start.
Okay, fine. Please do then.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you had a great lunch. So everybody has a great energy to discuss regarding digital twin initiatives in the smart city agenda. My name is Aleksi Kopponen, and I'm the director of digital transformation in the city of Tampere from Finland, one of the fastest growing cities in our country. And we are basically building our next generation of not just our public governance, but also how our city functions as a society. So basically, I have few ideas on top of that, and then we can continue. So I try to be short in that way. So please, if you can continue with the slides. So first of all, we have been seen and heard a lot of introductions and discussions regarding of how we can adapt AI and technology and how we can maintain interoperability in our public governance. Now, the next phase we are trying to achieve within our city, we call it a metaverse. So basically, metaverse for us is sort of an mission vision that encompasses also the idea of the digital twin, which basically supports us to convert everything that we experience, that we see, what basically supports our decision-making in our normal lives, and how our public sector services are also encountered in that sense. So I'm not talking about just public governance services. Those are very paramount, very important ones, but basically how we see our societies at a city level as a whole. Please go forward. So the metaverse basically holds lots of buzzwords from our existing governance point of view. So now in this slide you can see like numerous of terms that we have already gone through in this conference. But from the governance perspective, these aren't something that instead of the interoperability. Those are like very new terms that we try to adapt, try to understand what they are actually doing for our societies. So we as a city has to evolve and adapt to the future that is already being doing everywhere in the world. We have been talking about interoperability, but I will drill down into the digital twins more deeply. So basically, how we interconnect not just the physical reality, but also to understand how it behaves into virtual reality and how these data are interconnected between each other. Next slide, please. So what digital twin in general is. So basically, digital twin is less or more a counterpart of a physical real object or maybe service or process. So it basically doesn't mean that we have to have just a concrete building to build a digital twin basically in a data mode or virtual mode. It might be any kind of digitalized or virtualized idea of something that we are experiencing in the physical space. So here in this image you can see digital model, digital shadow, and digital twin. So these are basically different maturity levels from the idea of how the physical counterpart and the virtual counterpart are interacting between each other. For example, if we build like a city model in a virtual space, it is just a digital model, so it doesn't have any kind of interaction between the real physical world. Digital shadow is something that actually tries to mimic the real physical world, so there is already some sort of an interaction between the physical state. But the real digital twin is about how the digital model interacts with the physical one, whatever that is, but basically there has to be mutual dialogue and data exchange. The next one. But the digital twin in general isn't like a new idea. It's a concept that has been utilized in the manufacturing technology, for example, for a few decades. So to increase like efficiency of the processes, making sure that by simulation we understand how the processes are functioning. So that is very normal. But in the city context, it's something that is still being like observed or try to understand what that actually means. So now I'm not talking about, when I'm talking about digital twins, I'm not just talking about the built environment, I'm talking also about the digital space that we are encountering every day, every month, and also the social counterpart, and how we as a persons are behaving as a digital twins in the future. Please, next one. So in this slide, you can see some examples what we have been doing in our city. So it's about how we plan and try to understand, not just understand how our city behaves right now, but also how we can design our city at very different levels, also in the built environment, but also from the processes point of view, as well as the people point of view. So for example, of course, the various virtual models visualize future situations. It's very normal to utilize virtual models. That shouldn't be digital twin. It's like a digital model of what can be done. The center of Tampere is basically an idea of how we make sure that we have like better way to communicate of how our city centrum will be evolving. We can also utilize this approach to create 3D game experiences. For example, some historical events. The drone city of Hervanta basically was a project that we utilized and adapted the digital twin approach to understand the era of drones where unmanned aerial vehicles are going around our city, and that isn't too far away. Last week I was in one of those physically in South Korea, so in the next decade or two we are seeing like lots of more like these kind of vehicles, and we have to design our city functions of how our city actually behaves in that kind of situation. And also Stardust project basically is an autonomous project with the autonomous drivings and real-time public transport, which basically are autonomous buses going within the city area. And it supports us to design more deeply, for example, the areas those buses are moving. The next one. Yeah, you can click through. I believe it's just animation about those. Thank you. And also, here is very interesting, another example when it comes to real digital, not digital twins, but it's a digital shadow moreover. Here's me, like 1 month ago. I was basically driving the harvester. It's like a Ponsse, it's one of the finest harvesters in the world, built in Finland. And the whole package is about the organic logging and climate-resistant forest management, which this makes possible to practice. So basically, what do we mean by organic logging? It's aiming to develop and implement methods for organic precision logging, where tree selection and forest treatment are guided by nature's unique features at a micro pattern level. And this basically requires detailed information on tree stands, soil, and vegetation, along with integrated methods to assess forest use goals. So basically, we have a digital shadow out of our whole forest. It's a real trees. We know exactly which trees are where, how long they are, how tall they are, which trees we should be harvesting in a very sustainable way. And that's a very challenging operation. And also we adapt AI here by designing the routes of where the harvester actually can go. So this is something that we are doing as we speak, and this is from our from school area in Tampere. Next one. And also the idea of understanding, for example, job matching is the other place to put the digital twin approach. Here we applied a Finnish company called Hedai, basically making the software component for us, predictive text analytics based on language model. Basically, we optimize the job requirements with the labor market people and making sure that there is like enough persons for each requirement to make sure that our job labor market functions as good as possible. The next one. And it also will go to the idea of how we as citizens functions, not just in the physical life, but also in the virtual life as well. As we have been discussing today with our previous presentations and panels about how we are actually controlling and managing the data around us that actually characterizes our situation. I'm not talking about regular public governance registers that mainly doesn't give you any information about how am I doing. For example, if I go to Finland, public officials to ask that how am I doing, they don't have that data. That data is actually in Garmin wrist, that data is in the Google and Apple and any private organizations. So actually from public governance point of view, we are lagging behind by understanding people's real situations. And that's why the idea behind the citizen digital twin approach is so paramount, as you are pushing in Tanzania also your interoperability forward to make sure that the data is actually controlled by the people themselves. Yeah, next one. And just press one time and I will leave you with this image. So, as we have heard about how you are actually gathering the data, we had yesterday dinner a discussion with the Secretary General about how you are actually managing and making the real actions of understanding your real people's real situations. Helps you to make sure that as you are entering to the age of AI, you are actually also entering to the age where you are converging your realities together, not just physical life, but also with the digital one. So that was my key points here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexi. And after that, Valerie, please, you're welcome.
While waiting for the presentation, I say you hello, good afternoon. I'm experiencing the same as yesterday. I was after lunch, so I'll try to keep you alive. No, it's not the right one, actually. This is for afterward, towards the end of the day. Should find the one called Vera. And in fact, I'm Valeria Bandini. If you were there, I was already introduced, but I mean, just to say I'm Italian, I'm from Bologna, and I'm responsible for European and international activities of ARTER, that is the Development and Innovation Agency of Emilia-Romagna. And in fact, I'm going to share with you the experience we are having as a region in developing a digital twin on air quality in Emilia-Romagna. And this is the right presentation. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Emilia-Romagna is a region in Italy. You can see it in red. It's a small region. Well, in Italy it's not small, but I mean, it's a small territory, and we have a deep and relevant quality issue. In fact, because of the geography of the area, it's a valley, the River Po Valley, because of the fact that we are at the crossroad between north and south, we have a lot of traffic, and trucks, traffic in particular. That's an area very dense in terms of industries. So we have a very big issue of air pollution. So you may first, let's say, point out that the Vera digital twin is based on the will to solve a real and critical aspect. In fact, we are paying fines to the European Union because we are beyond the limits that have been set in terms of air pollution. And air pollution has to do with health of people. So, I mean, this tool is going to help also towards that direction, lowering the pollution of the area. Next slide, please. Yeah, I've said already that the Vera digital twin is willing to tackle the quality air issue, and it is a way to measure, evaluate, and in the perspective predict what's going to happen, especially based on the policy measures that the regional authority takes in order to, in fact, tackle this issue. The goal of the tool is to support, in fact, regional policies on air quality, but it goes beyond, let's say, the specific objective. It is a strategic tool that is part of the bigger strategy that we have in our region, matching also the ambition to make the best use of digital technologies for solving citizens' problems and territorial problems. Next slide, please. It's a users-driven project. Why? Because, in fact, it answers the need of the regional government, as I said already, in terms of supporting the policies and the programs that the regional government is in charge of, but it serves also other agencies and other actors, as well as research organizations, including universities that are involved in the project, in the initiative, as well as citizens, of course, in order to offer citizens information in the form of tools and products that they may use to know what the situation is in the area. And I mean, as any digital twin, also Vera wants to be a replica somehow of the Emilia-Romagna territory, and is already showing and representing the atmospheric system, but also it will be used to predict the situation and to predict the impact of policies on decarbonization, climate change, air quality, of course, but also transport and mobility. And the idea is to analyze the different options and the different impacts that different solutions or different actions may have. Next slide, please. First and foremost, it is a data integration exercise. You can see there the number of and different kind of data that are integrated in the model. We heard about Copernicus, for sure, of course, we integrate also Copernicus data, as well as weather data, traffic flows. We look at the forest coverage and The first effort was, in fact, to reconcile somehow the different data that were needed to have a reliable and efficient system. Next slide, please. There you can see some representation, let's say, of what Vera can provide. I don't want to go into detail, but you can see on one side the quality monitoring network that gives back the situation in the different areas of the region as for air pollution, as well as the traffic flow monitoring system that takes into account also of traffic limits or specific conditions that may be in the different areas in a certain time. Next, please. Vera, as almost any initiative in my region, is the result of a collaboration between different actors. Some of them, you have seen them already yesterday, apart from Arter, that is my agency. We have Lepida, that is the in-house company dedicated to digital infrastructure, to be short, and Cineca, that is the National Consortium for Supercomputing. In essence, ARPAE is the regional agency for the protection of territory, environment, and energy. And being a regional initiative, it is already connected to what other municipalities, in particular Bologna and Parma municipalities, are carrying out in developing their own digital twin, not only on air quality, but on also other aspects of the city management. Next. Yeah, we are in the process. Colleagues back home are working and are working on 3 experimental use cases that you can see listed on air quality, traffic, and forestation. We expect to have a beta version of 2 use cases, and by the end of 2026, we will have the final product. I mean, it's not something that happens today for tomorrow. It's a process. It's a process that requires experimentation, as I was saying, also collaboration with the research organizations, and let's say the integration of different aspects that can be incorporated into the model. Before ending my presentation, next please, I would like also, next, I don't want to go into details, just pictures and, let's say, visualization of what Vera is doing and can do. There's one slide, this one. I would like to mention the fact that we have carried out a mapping of the digital twins projects in the region. Why? Because we understood that there are the public authorities carrying out this kind of exercises, but there are also private companies or, as I was saying, municipalities, and we thought it was interesting to analyze what is going on in the region in order to be aware, in order to know what's happening, what are the critical aspects that each organization or each project is facing, and let's say with the objective also to create connections among the different experiences in order to allow the different project owners, let's say, to know about the experience of others. So if you can go ahead one slide, or maybe 2. Yeah, this is the project mapping, and we collected information on some 60 cases. Next slide. Covering different areas and different territories, I mean, covering the whole region or portion of the region. Next one. And what's interesting from my point of view is that, I mean, still they are not all connected, from the extra small, maybe at the company level or at the building level, and the extra large at the regional scale, but it will be interesting I mean, there's the intention to make connections as well in order to strengthen and create a big picture that is a kind of collective endeavor. And that's it from my side, I would say. Can you go ahead just to say thank you? There are examples in case somebody is interested in having further information. So thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Big hand for her. Next is Nelly with your presentation. Karibu.
As I'm waiting for the presentation to be displayed, so basically I'm here on behalf of an initiative called Resilience Academy. That initiative constitutes a partnership between the universities in Tanzania as well as Finland, of which we've been working together to create data, specifically spatial data, that can help the decision makers to make the right decisions regarding the physical space that we all use every day. So today I'm going to talk about Resilience Academy methodologies for shaping the future of smart cities. Next, please. So basically, we're talking about the continent which is urbanizing more rapidly. And by 2020, if we are all aware of the data that we have, almost 42% of the population in Africa was living in urban areas. And by 2035, we're expecting half of the population to live in urban areas. And these tell us about the issues that encompasses the social, the economic, and environmental arenas that we all face in everyday basis. So basically, having an initiative as a Resilience Academy was to kind of come up with ideas, innovative ideas on how are we going to solve the problems that all this population is going to face currently and in the future. Next. In a glimpse of the population that we face as places, we talk about poor infrastructure, rapid urban sprawl, increased flood risk, and much, much more, of which we are, for residents of Dar es Salaam City, are very good witness of the problems that we usually face during the rain season, that we flash flood, that we can't move from one place to another. And these are just few issues that our urban areas are facing. So as part of Resilience Academy, the idea was to how can we develop skills, change the attitude, and increase knowledge to the population to be able to use the digital data that we were to create within the initiative and be able to solve the problems that we are facing, particularly problems in relation to spatial environment. Next. Next. So as part of the methodology, the Resilience Academy has 4 main pillars in which we've been able to digitalize the geospatial data, particularly for Dar es Salaam. And if you didn't know, Dar es Salaam is one of the cities in Africa that has mostly been digitalized in terms of spatial data if you compare it to other cities. And that's the initiative under the Resilience Academy because as a methodology, we co-created the geospatial data that end up creating a lot of database that can be used in decision making. The other pillar that we have is with regard to online learning resources. In such a way, we have developed a lot of online learning resources that can help individuals who are interested on how to generate digital data. And these online learnings are particularly used within the universities, but also within the ministry and the local government as a whole. Because, for instance, if we take ourselves back into 2018, By then, if you are a spatial planner like me, it was very difficult to generate a map that could help somebody to make decisions, because from the university, for instance, you're supposed to drive all the way through to the survey mapping division to go and purchase a hard copy map that will go back to the university and start creating the maps. But as part of the initiative, what we've done, we have managed to map almost all the layers that we have, the physical layers that we have within the city. So it's easier to even generate the spatial information which people can use to make decisions. So as part of continuation of the initiative itself, the resources that have been developed are readily available, and all of you are welcome to utilize the resources in order to have more informed data before making decisions. Another pillar within the Resilience Academy is basically co-creation, because it's not easy to generate layers and layers of data, particularly spatial data. But because of the massive human resource that we have as a country and as a continent as a whole, because if you compare the population which I talked about in the first slide, the majority of these people are young people. So we took advantage of having so many young people in our universities and trained them and work together with them to co-create all this data that we are now proud of as an initiative. Above all, as part of the ecosystem, we have really contributed in terms of the data that researchers can use to generate inferences that are useful into drawing better conclusion and better policies that we need to drive our economies. So basically, we have risk data database that we have climate risk database that is openly accessible to anyone who is interested to use the data for research purposes. Next. As I've already said, empowering the youth has been our motive, because we want the people who are currently making decisions and the future decision makers to be well equipped of these digital technologies, so that they can contribute better into better decisions that we need to move forward from this point to the next point. So basically, the data that we have generated, the geospatial data that we have generated, has been in a partnership with the students, and the simple mobile technology has really contributed into developing this data that we are currently proud of. Next. And to show that the youths are ready to take over the decision making, normally when we advertise the position to come to participate in different challenges, we have had a lot of applicants, and that is giving us the indication that our youths are ready to take the digital solutions ahead, and they are ready to use the data that are being generated, and they are ready to kind of improve their skills and knowledge in order to move forward and compete with other economies which are ahead of us. Thank you. Next. And the e-learning modules, as I've said earlier, they are readily available. And at the end, I'll show some websites that you can all access freely, because the motion of our Resilience Academy was to create open source data so that people can have equal chance in making the right decisions. Next. And next. So basically, as a Resilience Academy initiative, we are proud to say that we have been able to train the youths, and they are very much equipped. And basically, I've seen some of the youth that we have trained in this audience, fully of skills and knowledge that help them to work with the digital data, as well as we have trained community members. If you go across the neighborhoods, in the informal settlements, in the formal settlement, when you talk about the spatial data, the community are very much aware. So it's like we are thinking about the community which is more aware of these debates that we are having today. It's not something that is new to them. And so if we upscale what we are discussing here today and move forward into the community, we should be sure that we are going to make progress in terms of physical, social, and environmental development. So if you go through our database, you'll be able to see over 1,713 amenities which have been mapped, and more than 150 kilometers of roads, and different names of the roads that are available. There are over 38,000 buildings, and I think this is one of the initiative that has really contributed into what we call today the the postcode thing. That is, our initiative contributed a lot because we created the building layers that the ministry is using to kind of help in the decision making. And we have also mapped over 6,200 businesses, of which is also useful to TRA. So they are using the data that we've already generated to assist them into collecting more revenue as we need as a country. And the last feature that we have really worked on is the tourist features, which if you move around cities, the city of Dar es Salaam, you'll be able to see how much we have digitalized, and these data are readily available. And this is not only in Tanzania mainland, but also in Zanzibar, because this initiative has, Zanzibar State University has been part of the initiative all along. Next. The other thing is the discussion that came out in the morning, like, how do you know the data that you're using? How do you become sure about the data that has been generated? As part of the initiative, we've developed community-led data creative processes, and we have the links that can help you to kind of make decisions. Realize that these data are real data and reliable and valid, and can be used into the decision that you are supposed to make. So we have a number of we have a number of resources that are available, and they could be shared if somebody is interested. Next.
1 minute. Yes,
and that's my last slide, and it's about the power of partnership in urban resilience, that without partners, it's impossible. I think the last session before we went for lunch, it was more of blowing the power of partnership in all these doing that we are trying to discuss here today. So if it wasn't the partnership that we had with the Minister of Land, the universities from Finland, and the consortium of universities within our country, then probably this initiative was not going to be possible. But if we keep partnering with each other, we are sure that the data that we generate can help us to achieve the idea of having smart cities that we are all craving for. Thank you very much for listening. If you are interested with the activities that Resilience Academy are doing, we have links that can lead you to access the data that have already been generated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A hand of applause for Nelly. Thank you. Before we go into our discussion, I think it'd be nice to summarize in case the audience will want to ask questions. Alexi, you talked about the evolution of the smart city in Tampere as a use case. And one of the tools that you used was the metaverse and the augmented reality. You defined what the digital twin is. And then you also, in the use of the AR, you talked about the forestry that you are managing over there. Valerie, you talked about Vera being a twin that mirrors air quality in your region, which is Emilia Romagna. Romagna, okay, this, not Ga, okay, we have, the G is hard for us, you know, so Romagna, okay. Okay, air quality, the use of DT for air quality and future predictions. And then also you have a geo-library with different data sets that you utilize. And Vera is a collaborative effort. Nelly, you talked about the Resilience Academy, which I think was started by the World Bank, and the issues that go with that, which the challenges that you're looking at were poor infrastructure, the growth of the urban sprawl, so also. And then you created a special map, and now it is open resources for everybody to utilize. So in summary, that's what you talked about. But still, there is this issue of what is a digital twin for the common person to understand. And my definition of that would be, assuming you're standing in the, you create a shadow of yourself, and that shadow now is made to stand up and be digitalized. Will that be a simple analogy of a digital twin? Well, I want to bring it down to layman's language.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this works. Maybe now. Wait a second. I will put it on. That's true. No. Okay. Well, yeah. I also do my PhD regarding cities and digital twins, and I've been trying to figure out the exact definitions for the digital twins, and there aren't like agreed definitions for that. For example, as we were discussing about the digital twins, but still from scientific or definition perspective, we were presenting digital shadow. For example, the air quality wasn't like basically digital twin per se, it was digital shadow. And that's okay. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. You cannot control air quality by the visualization. But the real digital twin might be, for example, autonomous driving, where the model itself has a collaboration or interoperability between the physical car. And when the car does something, we get more information for the model. So basically, any kind of way you can characterize that idea that you have some sort of a digital model of anything in your life that has some sort of an interaction with the real life. That might be, and that can be said in any kind of way, but there is no single definition, at least yet in the world.
So let's take it up a notch up higher then. In the case, our topic today is digital twins and smart cities. A digital twin, to create it, you need three things. You'll need the hardware component, the physical. You need the management, what we call the middleware component in the middle. And then at the high end, you have a software component, which is the algorithm that runs it so that you can have it in the digital space. That's the digital twin side of it. If you're looking towards, let's say, what is happening in Emilia Romagna, for example, you know, the city. But then, how does it help? In your case, it was air quality. But then for us here, we are looking at utilizing it in urban planning, traffic management, environmental monitoring, public health, and also to be citizen-centric also. So how can you manage that, and what's the data governance that goes to manage that? Valeria, what do you think?
Well, I'm not sure I'm able to answer your question, but what I can say is that Vera is specifically on air quality, and it's a tool for the governmental sector to know first and to somehow predict with this dynamic to, let's say, have a feedback from reality, updating data, etc., and to predict specifically what's going to happen, taking certain measures. For example, if I close to the traffic the center of Bologna, what's going to be the impact based on what has happened? Then I close it, the air quality improves. So I feed back the data. So it's a way somehow to govern the city. Or if I have a small video of the experience of Parma. Maybe later at the end of the panel we can show it to the audience. In their case, the digital twin incorporate a number of elements, and for them, it is a tool that integrates the different sectors, going from green areas management to traffic management to, let's say, other aspects, let's say, of planning areas or new areas, etc. So it's really a tool for planning the development of the city.
For the future, what is your perspective?
All right, thank you. In terms of data that we are generating every day and how they can be used, I suppose I'll state clearly now that is a journey, because we are not there yet. We don't have enough to say now we are comfortable. But even though we have